Hi, this is Dr. Nidhi Khare, and today's topic of my lecture is Group Development Process. Students, you can't expect a new team to perform well when it first comes together. Forming a team takes time, and members often go through recognizable stages as they change from being a collection of strangers to a united group with common goals. Bruce Tuckman's forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning model describes these stages. The fifth stage, adjourning, is sometimes also known as mourning. When you understand it, you can help your new team become effective more quickly. So, in today's lecture, we'll look at how you can use this model to build a highly productive team. Now, talking about the model. Psychologist Bruce Tuckman used this model to describe the path that most teams follow on their way to high performance. Groups and teams in the workplace go through a maturation process, such as one would find in any life cycle situation. For example, life cycle of humans, organizations, products. While there is general agreement among theorists that the group development process occurs in identifiable stages, they disagree about the exact number, sequence, length, and nature of those stages. The 5-stage model that you will see in the next slides indicates how individuals give up a measure of their independence when they join and participate in a group. The various stages are not necessarily of the same duration or intensity. For instance, the storming stage may be practically non-existent or painfully long, depending on the goal clarity and the commitment and maturity of the members. This process comes to life when one relates the various stages to personal experiences. With work groups, committees, athletic teams, social or religious groups, or even class project teams. Now coming to the first stage, forming. During this ice-breaking stage, group members tend to be uncertain and anxious about such things as their roles, who is in charge, and the group goals. At this stage, mutual trust is low, and there is a good deal of holding back to see who takes charge and how. If the formal leader, for example a supervisor, does not assert his or her authority, then an emergent leader will eventually step in to fulfill the group's need for leadership and direction. Leaders typically mistake this honeymoon period as a mandate for permanent control, but later problems may force a leadership change. The next stage is storming. This is a time of testing. Individuals test the leader's policies and assumptions as they try to determine how they fit into the power structure. What is happening at this stage is that subgroups take shape and subtle forms of rebellion, such as procrastination, occurs. Many groups stall in stage 2 because power politics erupts into open rebellion. Norming. Groups that make it through stage 2 generally do so because a respected member, other than the leader, challenges the group to resolve its power struggles so that something can be accomplished. Questions about authority and power are resolved through unemotional, matter-of-fact group discussion. A feeling of team spirit is experienced because members believe they have found their proper roles. Group cohesiveness, defined as the we feeling that binds members of a group together, is the principal byproduct of stage 3. Now, cohesiveness has a small but significant effect on performance, especially in small groups. Commitment to the task at hand has the most powerful impact on this link between cohesiveness and performance. Thus, organizations are advised to ensure that performance standards and goals are clear and accepted, and to keep task groups small unless there is a need for creativity, in which case the optimal group size would be somewhat larger. Also, it must be remembered that too much cohesiveness creates the possibility of groupthink, as we have already discussed in the first lecture. Performing. Activity during this vital stage is focused on solving task problems. As members of a mature group, contributors get their work done without hampering others. There is a climate of open communication, strong cooperation, and lots of helping behavior. Conflicts and job boundary disputes are handled constructively and efficiently. Cohesiveness and personal commitment to group goals help the group achieve more than what any one individual acting alone could achieve. Adjourning. The work is done at this stage and it is time to move on to other things. In this stage, having worked so hard to get along and get something done, many members feel a compelling sense of loss. The return to independence can be eased by rituals celebrating the end and new beginnings. Parties and award ceremonies can provide the needed punctuation at the end of a significant group project. Leaders need to emphasize valuable lessons learned in group dynamics to prepare everyone for future group and team efforts. High-performing teams with Tuckman's model. Now, team formation usually follows easily recognizable stages. We have already understood these stages known as forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning. Students, you can use Tuckman's model to help your team reach the performing stage as quickly as possible. First, you identify the stage of development that your team is at. Then, you use strategies that move your team through to the next stage in the team formation process. With focus and hard work, you'll quickly have a high-performing team. When we work in teams, we tend to think that we should get along all the time. There should never be any conflict. But some conflict can be good for teams. It can help us get to the next level. As we have already seen that Bruce Tuckman figured out the stages of group development that we have already discussed. What happens is that in forming stage, team members are coming together for the first time. Why are we here? What are we doing? What's our goal? What's our purpose? After that, conflict starts to happen. This is our next stage that is called storming. In storming, what you have is different people going in different directions. No one can agree and it seems like chaos. Total chaos. If you are lucky, you get through storming and you get to move on to the next stage, which is norming. In norming, people are starting to go in the same direction. They are starting to be in some agreement, starting to get some output. Now, if you are lucky, you move from there to the fourth stage, which is called performing. In the performing stage, that's where everyone is working in the right direction. Everyone is moving in unison. Now, obviously, you get better performance as you move up the model. So, the true advantage is to move up from forming to performing. Now, how do you do that? When the team is forming, what are you focusing on? What you are focusing on is goals. That is, what we as a team are trying to accomplish. That way, when the fighting starts, we can fight and argue about the roles and strategies. What are we trying to do? How we are going to do it? What's our plan? The roles should refer back to the shared goals. That's the good kind of fighting, arguing over the common goals. How we are going to get there? If you get through there, that way the norming becomes focusing on norms. These are the roles and strategies agreed upon. These norms refer back to the roles, which refer back to the shared goals. That's the only way to move forward into the performing stage. Now, how do you use the tool? The Tuckman's model. As a team leader, your aim is to help your people perform well and as quickly as possible. To do this, you'll need to change your approach at each stage. To ensure that you are doing the right thing at the right time, you must identify the stage of team development that your team is at. Now consider what you need to do to move towards the performing stage. Understand your role and think about how you can move the team forward. Schedule regular reviews of where your team is and adjust your behavior and leadership approach appropriately. With this, we come to the end of this lecture. I hope you got a thorough understanding of Tuckman's model and also got a fair idea how as a team leader you can use this tool to help your team members perform well. Thank you.